everyone is a mirror in your life. Everyone and everything, they're not in your life by accident. Whether your clients, your partner, your friends, you have to be an energetic vibrational match for them at some level in order for you two to even connect. Depending on where our energy is, depending on our self-concept, our self-belief, if you're in a space where you're vibrating high, you've done the worthiness work, you love yourself, you're going to attract people who are on that level. And that's beautiful. And if you are not at that level, which I certainly wasn't then, you're going to attract people who are not on that level, who are going to mirror to you who you're being.
You are here. Welcome to the Purpose Finder podcast. This is the show where we uncover why you are truly here, and more importantly, how to make it your reality. My father, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, said the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose. And research further shows that people with a strong sense of purpose are 2.4 times more likely to feel fulfilled. Each week, I sit down with extraordinary guests, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders who are boldly living their why. We dive deep into their journeys, the struggles they've overcome, their breakthroughs, and the lessons that can help you do the same. I am your beautiful host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and we're about to explore the mindsets, tools, and strategies to help you live a life with purpose, passion, and legacy. Are you ready? Let's go and dive into the episode. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another amazing episode of the Purpose Finder podcast, where our mission is simple: to help you find and uncover your life's purpose and to live a life overflowing with three things: meaning, fulfillment, and significance. Why? Because deep down, we all crave belonging. No one wants to feel unfulfilled, and we are all searching, asking that big question: why in the world am I here? But I hope you allow your search to end right here on the podcast. I am your host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and today I have the pleasure of sitting with a great woman doing amazing things in the entrepreneur space, the business space, the money space. Yes, we're going to talk about the money space. And she is living her purpose out boldly, helping women around the world. We're going to explore her story, her journey, and some lessons she's learned along the way. Help me welcome Miss Elyse Archer of She Sells. Elyse. Thank you so much for being here, for saying yes, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Charissa. This is so fun. And to be on motherhood journeys together as well, to be just, growing businesses and small humans at the same time is really, really fun. So really honored and excited to be here.
Fun fact, her and I are pregnant together at the same time at the moment. How far along are you, Elyse?
We are due April 12th. So
she's due a month after I am. So we are right at the tail end of our pregnancies. And I think it's really, really good that is the case, because we get to talk about motherhood, yes, wifehood, and also what that looks like managing and balancing business and entrepreneur and doing great in the world. So we're going to talk a little bit about our experience. But Elyse, I'm not going to read a bio. They don't want to hear from me, but they do want to hear from you. So tell us who you are, what do you do, where you are from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, this is so fun. So I'm Elyse Archer. I'm the founder and CEO of She Sells and Superhuman Selling. And in addition to all things business and running the company, I am a wife. My partner, Jason, is in medical school, second year med school right now. So that's actually why we are living up here in Maine. Very, very cold, snowy Maine. I'm a Southerner at heart, but I've been up here for close to a couple of years now. So we are living the medical school life, which is exciting. We've got 2 little boys, 4 and under, and then our third baby is on the way. And yes, I am a woman who loves God, who loves growth, who wants to always live into my fullest expression and what I came here on the planet to do and to be. And I want to help empower as many others to do that as well. And also a woman who had a lot of struggles along the way and a lot of questions of what is my purpose and how do I find it? And is life just meant to be something that you survive, or is it something that we can really um, have a lot of joy along the journey with? And so I am an open book, happy to answer any and every question that would be helpful to your audience. But that's a quick high level of who I am.
Absolutely. So tell my audience and tell us a little more about, what She Sells is about and
Yeah.
superhuman selling and what does that mean? Um, and then like really where you're at with that. So I know
Yeah.
that's like the apex of what you do. Um, uh, Guys, she's not a small fry. I don't want you to think that. And I think it's important that we express and say that because you are making six figures, maybe even more. But once we talk about that, then I definitely want us to focus on, but how did you get there? What are some of the
Mm,
mindsets? What are some of the struggles that you had to deal with, that you had to face? But
yeah.
let's start with where you are now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So She Sells, which is my baby. That brand it's been around in my heart for close to 10 years, but we officially launched about 4 years ago. And I created this brand and this company because I came up in corporate sales in very male dominated environments. And I found that so much of what was taught in terms of how to sell and make money left me feeling burnt out, depleted. Some of it, and this has nothing to do with men versus women. I want to be really clear. Like, I love my men. Our little one on the way is a girl, but my two babies right now are boys. So love men. But a lot of what was taught in terms of how to be successful in sales and business was all about hustle, grind, push, hard closing people, forcing the sale almost. And so I found myself in my late 20s having climbed the ranks of the leaderboard at work, um, and doing everything I thought that I was supposed to do to be happy and successful and fulfilled. And yet inside struggling with anxiety, eating disorder, panic attacks, feeling like I had to work 12-hour days to be successful. And so that was really where my personal development journey kicked in. And I started working under great mentors, many of which were women, who taught a very different way to sell, a very different way to do business. I learned about feminine energy for the first time in my life. I thought it was a dirty word, I didn't know what it meant. But what I have learned is that it really is the key to quantum leaping if we want to quantum leap. And so She Sells is exactly what it sounds like. It's a community, a brand. We've got women around the world who are entrepreneurs and sales professionals who are unapologetically going for more and doing it their own way and approaching business and life in a way that feels aligned for them. And what's happened over the years is we've had a lot of beautiful men in the community who listen to the podcast behind the scenes and who consume the material, and they're like, this is changing my life. How do I be a part of it? So we have a bigger umbrella brand that we are launching and developing, and it's actually the title of my next book, and a lot of beautiful things around that, called Superhuman Selling. And within the superhuman selling framework, your listeners may be familiar with. There's a lot of great thought leaders who teach at the intersection of science and spirituality. So for me, my personal influences are thought leaders like Joe Dispenza, Michael Beckwith, Greg Braden, et cetera. So I really enjoy that space. But what we're doing is adding in the third element of sales and business. So bringing that work into the sales and business world. And I teach within that community and with our programs how I was able to go stuck at the same level for over a decade financially, to 10xing and turning my annual income into my monthly income while working fewer hours. And it's like, it's not, it does sound probably too good to be true, but it literally happened. And there's a framework that we teach around that as well. And so in both of those brands and both of those communities, I always say sales is the Trojan horse. So people often come to us because they say, I want sales coaching for women, or I want a different approach to sales. And what I have learned in my own life is that your results will never supersede your identity. And that's
Mm,
why I was stuck at the same level for
mm.
so long. I
Let's say that
wanted,
again. Say that
yeah, yeah,
again.
your results will never
Never
supersede your
supersede your
identity.
identity. Wow.
Yes. So, and you know this, Charissa, no doubt very well, that this is why people will put their most epic life on a vision board, but then sit there and just feel frustrated looking at it or say, where is it? And I did that for many years. And I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Why is it not happening? We do a lot of work on attuning to who do you need to be to have whatever it is that you desire, the 7-figure business, to create multiple streams of income, to be speaking on the big stages, etc. So there's a process and a method that we teach within the community about that, but it's all things that I have lived in my own life and that I've gotten to experience in my own life as well. So please take that wherever you want to take it and wherever would be of service
Oh, that's good
to your
stuff.
people.
Good
But
stuff. I
yeah,
would love to be a part of this She Sells, because I think sales is one of the things that people don't like. Unless you are a salesy type of person, that's your character, that's what you love to do and get your hands dirty in. Like if
mm,
I can do everything in my business and not have to do the selling and the sales part, like I'm good. So that's one of the things that even I have been trying to sharpen in my business and in my life is doing sales, but still it not feeling and being icky and think that you have to
mm,
manipulate people, but being like truly authentic
yeah,
with it. And I
yeah,
think a lot of it too is, and before I even finish that, I want to go back to something you said even early on, as you were talking about your bio, and you were saying how important it was, or how important it is for you to do in this life what you were born to do and what you were called to do.
yes.
And you alluded to how important purpose was to you.
Mm,
Do you remember in your journey, on your journey, when it was that you said, "This is my calling, and these are who I'm called to"?
yes, yes, absolutely. And I think it gets to be a progression. I
Mhm.
really do. I mean, I'm a woman who, and I'll speak to I'll answer your question directly, but I'll just say, as a woman who now feels in most ways, like I would say I am living out my purpose at the level that I feel like, or at least I can see it unfolding at the level that I feel called to. There's still things that unfold daily where I'm like, oh, wow, I'm being called to something bigger. Okay. So I think my own experiences, for all of us, there is not a lightning strike moment where this is it. For some people, yes, and that's beautiful. But in my own life, it was many years of kind of trying to figure it out. And a lot of it was being in the energy of other people who were doing things that interested me, that lit me up. So before launching my own coaching and speaking business, I worked alongside other great leaders in the space, and I was still figuring out my voice. I was still figuring out who I was and what I wanted. But what I will say, the moment where I feel like things really clicked for me was when our first son was about 4 months old. And I was sitting up late night in his room, nursing him. And, as a fellow mom, you get it. You have a couple of choices in those moments. You can doom scroll on your phone and compare your life to everyone else, or you can read a book or do something enlightening. And so, I was reading a book by Bronnie Ware called "The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying." Not sure if you've read it, or I'm sure some of your listeners may be familiar. But for anyone who's not familiar, Bronnie was a hospice care worker, and she sat with countless people on their deathbed And she said that right before people passed, they would share these 5 most common regrets. And the number one regret that people shared was, I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to me rather than what everyone else expected of me. And now this moment was maybe 4.5 years ago. So not even that long ago. But it happened at an interesting time as well, where a dear friend of mine who had been a podcast co host, he passed away in his sleep at age 39 and left behind a wife and 5 kids. And I wasn't that much younger than him. And I remember just thinking, I think that I have a lot of time left on this planet. But if I didn't, and if I didn't have a lot left, I would go to my grave having been in hiding in so many ways in my life. And there was a bigger calling and a bigger vision that I had been wanting to step into for a long time, having even just like little inklings of, I want to speak on big stages. I want to be a world thought leader. I want to transform as many lives as possible. I want to welcome in more financial abundance into our family so that I can do things like give my husband the option to go back to medical school if he wants. And yet there was, I had been hiding. I had been playing small. I had been saying, well, I'm a new mom, so I'm going to kind of coast for a while. And there was just something in reading that book that woke me up. And I realized in that moment that I had been waiting for someone or something external. I don't know. I didn't even realize it. I wasn't conscious to it, but unconsciously, I had been waiting for permission to really go for it and permission to follow my desires. And what I now know is that your desires are green lights. So whatever lights you up, you see Teresa speaking on stages, hosting this podcast, and there, whether you're jealous of her, whether you're triggered, or whether you're lit up and you're like, yes, let's go, there is something in you that she is mirroring that's a possibility for you. Your desire for more, your desire for a different lifestyle, whatever it is, your desires are green lights. So I'd been a woman who had a lot of desires, but had never given myself permission to actually just go for it. And so in that moment, I said, I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to do, but I don't know how long I have left here. And so I'm not going to go to my grave never having known what that fullest expression of me could have been like if I really went for it. And so, long story, but had a lot of opportunities show up right after that to get very uncomfortable, way out of my comfort zone, to invest in myself in coaching in levels that felt astronomical to me at the time, to come face to face with every fear, every limiting belief I'd ever had about money and what was possible for me and how money worked for me. But what happened in that period of time was I freed myself because I faced every demon, at least everyone that I knew I had that. I faced every demon, and was willing to get radically uncomfortable by putting myself way out there more than I had before on social media. Again, by investing in myself in incredibly stretchy ways, by launching new programs. And that was the time period where in 6 weeks, I turned my annual income into my monthly income. But what I found was my focus wasn't so much on, I want to 10x my money. My focus became, let me step into the fullness of who I came here to be. And so I started reconnecting.
So money was a byproduct.
And money's always a byproduct. Exactly. Great point. Yeah, money was an area where I had felt like I struggled for years, and I had a lot of limiting money beliefs, a lot of money anxiety and fears. And because I had to come face to face with them during that time period to even figure out how I was going to pay my coaching payment, I got to really deep dive into the energy of money, wealth energetics, something that we now teach that I really got to learn at a deep level during that period too, is your level of income will never exceed your level of self-worth. And so I was a woman who wanted a lot more for a long time in my life, but didn't feel worthy of it. So a lot of worthiness work, a lot of inner child work. I mean, you name it, I was doing it. But it was in that process that I came back to who I really came here on this planet to be. And I think that for all of us, there is a deep inner knowing, even if we don't feel clear consciously, right? Like you can even think back to, what did I love when I was a kid? Where did I feel lit up? Where did I feel alive? It's not that you are meant to do necessarily those exact same things right now, but those are breadcrumbs and clues as to your gifts, as to your talents, as to your spiritual fruit, that when you can tap into, you will be happiest, most aligned, and consequently most on purpose with your life as well. So please direct me wherever you want to direct me from there, because I'm not even sure if I answered your question. I hope I
No, no,
did.
this is good.
But
And it's good because I love how you say your desires are the green light
mm,
to
yes.
your passion, to who you can be. Like the sky is the limit when it comes to that. And then I also like how you said, as a child, what did you like?
Yeah.
What did you want to be? What was it that you loved doing as a child? Not to say that you may be all those things, but let's go back to it. And you made me think about myself as a child, teenager, young adult growing up. And one of the things I loved to do was hair. Like I loved to do hair, cosmetologists or cosmetology. And I had told my dad that that's what I wanted to be when I grow up. And of course, my dad is like, okay, no, you should be a little more than that. We're not going to just stop right there. And I never felt crushed, but I think the part of my love for cosmetology or just doing hair at that young age wasn't so much going after the money. It was I loved the smiles that people had on their faces when I did their hair, and it was guys and gals. And then I went off to college, and the way I passed the time, or the way I would spend some free time, would be doing hair for, whether it was the guys with dreadlocks or women with dreadlocks, and just how happy they were. I never once charged. And if I did, I actually never charged. They would just give me a little gift, but I just had so much fun. And then they were happy. And because I always wondered why didn't I feel some type of way when I didn't become that? And I think the
Mm,
part of that was most important was, Charissa, to this very day, as a social worker now, I enjoy putting smiles on people's faces.
mm.
I enjoy changing their day from gloomy to sunny, from
Yes.
blue to bright. Like I enjoy that. And so that's what doing hair did as a young kid. And that's what now, in the coaching space, in the inspirational space, in the transformational space, that's what I do now. Seeing people's lives uplifted and influenced by what it is that I have to offer, and putting a smile on their face.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it goes all the way back to that. My dad was like, "Yeah, no, we're not gonna do cosmetology. My daughter's made for more." I'm like, okay.
Well, what I love, if I could, this is so fun. First of all, you and I are living parallel lives, because I wanted to be a makeup artist, and so that was my vision. And so in college, I would give makeovers to my girlfriends. But to your, like, we can look to those things and see, okay, what's at the core of that? Maybe it is you're going to make a big pivot and do what it is that you thought you were going to do growing up. I think that certainly does happen for some people when we let ourselves really stop asking, what does everyone else want for me? And we start asking, what do I want for myself? I love to ask, if I were living on an island and no one was ever going to know, what would I want my life to be like? And I think from that point, we can tap into a lot of truth rather than all the shoulds.
Mhm.
But again, there may be like seeds of it. It may be that you actually love facilitating transformation, or
Exactly.
probably for you and for me too. Like I still love beauty to this day. And this year we're launching a magazine where we are going to be doing makeovers and highlighting women who are leading in business too. So it's pretty close to what it was, but it's taken me a while um, to build to that point and to get there. But so just so fun. Number one, the alignment, the parallel paths, but also too, it's what's at the core of this that I loved. Yeah.
And we bring that to light because we don't want anyone to feel like what I was as a child. You know, it wouldn't be. And here it is, my dad telling me, we're not going to be more than that. But what if that is what I was supposed to do? His expectation may have been one thing, but what if it was that field that I should have gone on, or supposed to be in? But I tend to look at it as, if I looked beyond that, because sometimes your parents can see beyond who you think you are and what you can be. So my dad obviously saw me doing something else, not something bigger, because cosmetology is big right now. Like like when I want my hair done, I want a cosmetologist who know what they're doing, and I go looking for that. So cosmetology is amazing. But sometimes your parents know like what they see for you, and but I looked beyond that and look at but what is it about it? And I gathered that it was about the fact that I just loved helping people. I loved putting smile on people's faces. Um, and so, Elise, one of the things I want to do, I want to go back to that you also said, now that we're at that space where, you talk about your calling and what it is that you do. And I love the fact that you said, you didn't say this, but when I look at the way you describe purpose, I love how you describe it. And I describe purpose as oniony, if you will. It has these layers that fall off or that you get to peel off as you mature in life, as you go through life and experience new things, as you learn new things, as you grow. Your purpose becomes more revealed to you, you become more aware of what it is. And sometimes you are correct, it's not just a lightning event that occurs, but it really does, I do believe, really does evolve over time, because we evolve over time. And so if I had known, I tell you, and I say this over and over again, if I had known that I would be doing what I'm doing now, or if I had known that I had to go through what I went through to be doing what I did now, if God had showed me that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have ran for the hills. You hear me? And
Oh,
I would not return, or I would not come back. But I wasn't ready. And 15 years later, 20 years later, I've gone through what I've gone through. It's made me stronger. It's made me wiser. I've had to unlearn some things, learn some new things. And now I'm ready for where I am now. And I also know that there are still other layers of why I was born that still hasn't yet been revealed to
yes.
me. And so
Yeah.
you talked about being in the corporate world and having gone through some struggles. And you mentioned some things that I know people listening to our episode right now are going through: the anxiety, the
Mm,
panic attacks, the eating disorders,
yeah.
the burnout, the feeling depleted.
Mm,
And I want to go back to those because I'm curious to know what brought those on, but then also how did you get out of them? How did you not
mm,
allow yourself to be stuck in those moments of panic attack, those
yeah.
moments of anxiety, even going through the eating disorder? How did
Mm,
you allow yourself to be pulled out of that?
mm. Really, really good question. Yeah. Again, it was a journey, but when I think back to that period of time in my life, I was living so much of my life for other people, and I had stopped listening to my own inner guidance, and I was constantly doing what I thought I should be doing to be successful, happy, safe, liked, accepted, etc. So all areas of life, my dating life, romantic relationships. Um, I was married to a bit to someone with a really unhealthy, toxic relationship, but again, he was just a match. But there were just I had made so many choices in my life. based on what I thought I should be doing. And I had really stopped listening to my intuition, which I relate to that as in many ways the voice of God speaking in my life. I had disconnected from that as a teen, as a probably 12, 13-year-old girl. I had stopped listening to that for a number of reasons. And I think many of us do that over the years. And then it was this seeking of the external. And so I think what happens is that when we don't listen for long enough, at some point, the soul has a wake up call. I had a great mentor during that time who had me read a book specifically that was really transformational around the eating disorder. And it's a book called Eating in the Light of the Moon. So this is beautiful for anyone struggling with this. It's specifically for women, although I think anyone could relate to it and get a lot out of it. But I was in so much shame in my life at this point around that, and I was hiding it. And I didn't want anyone to know because I'd been struggling with it for about 10 years too. Like it had been a while. It wasn't just um, a brief thing. But what came to light through that book was that eating disorder has nothing to do with food. And it really, it tends to manifest, at least for me, it did, from a place of having very strong, very powerful intuition and knowing as a little girl and starting to suppress that growing up in order to stay safe and feel accepted and receive what I thought I was love at that time. And it's in that process that we start to try to control the external and people please. And if I can just look a certain way, if I can control this, then I'll feel safe. So a lot of different factors, but it was actually learning to have so much love and compassion and understanding for myself for why those things were happening. And step by step, piece by piece, learning to tune in to my own inner knowing again. And I remember I've thought about it the other day and it brought a smile to my face because I remember I had booked an intensive with this coach at the time. And it was like the first time I had told anyone I was struggling with that, and like at least publicly. And there was a lot of liberation that even came from just sharing, hey, this is something I'm struggling with, like no one knows. But it was after she gave me that book to read and I read it and I felt love for myself where I hadn't felt that in years. I felt compassion for myself. And I remember I asked, like, what do I want to do today? What do I feel like doing? And the first thing that showed up, this is probably embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed by it. It just is what it is. It was like, I want to belly dance. I felt like belly dancing. So I turned on a belly dance video on YouTube and I got reconnected with my body in ways that I hadn't in over 10 years. And I like appreciated my feminine curves. I appreciated how I could move. Like my stomach was an area that I had been so critical of for so long. And it was in that moment where I was like, no, I'm going to enjoy this. And so that moment, I remember it because I remember thinking I felt free for the first time in a long time. And I think that freedom came from understanding and from stepping out of the shame blame cycle that I had been in to understand what was really going on and that it was actually about being afraid to access my power, being afraid to speak my truth, how I had stopped listening so long ago. And so even to this day in the work that we bring to the members of our community, again, the face level brand, the surface level brand is about sales and business and money growth. But the core message of the brand is to trust yourself, to trust your desire for more, to trust your inner knowing that you're meant for more, to trust, to come back into trust with your body, with your intuition, because that's always going to guide you to your fullest expansion and expression if you listen and if you let it.
Hey, purpose seekers. If this conversation has you thinking about your purpose, what it is, how to find it, and how to truly live it, then I have something just for you. Introducing the Purpose Finder Formula. And you have the free access to my 20-minute training designed to help you uncover your purpose and to start living it with confidence. No fluff, no guesswork. It's clear, practical, step-by-step guide to finding meaning and gaining clarity and direction. Your purpose is calling. Are you ready to answer? Head over to www.charissamonroe.com/purpose finder formula. Enter your info and I'll send it straight to your inbox. Imagine waking up every day knowing your life has meaning, impact, and joy. That's what awaits you. So don't wait. Grab your free training today. Now, let's get back to the episode. I'm so glad you say that. And I'm going to share a personal story about you and I. And so you and I got connected from one of my current coaches.
Yes.
And I was struggling with my coach about selling a particular product. And he said, I have the perfect person for you. This is her lane. I want to connect you with her and maybe y'all just talk. So I did exactly that. You know, when your coach and mentor tells you to do something, you do it, right? And so it was uncomfortable, but it stretched me and it allowed me to reach out to you. And then you and I have a conversation. You were so welcoming. You were so, you were so interested in this person reaching out to you over Instagram. And I was all about how do I put butts in the seats for this event? I just wanted to know, just tell me, hey, what am I doing wrong? Okay. I have an event coming up in a month. Nobody has signed up. And that's all I wanted to know. But at least you went so far beyond the selling. You went so far beyond the money. Like you wanted to know, or you started to tell me that there's something else a little deeper than just trying to put butts in the seats. Like what's even your mindset when it comes to money? What's your mindset when it comes to even thinking that you are worthy enough for there to be butts in the seats? And so there was these personal development questions that, even another coach that I have, again, I want to just grow my business. I come to her, I want to grow my business times 10. And she's like, okay, fine, we're going to do that. However, I need you to go to this women's retreat. And then I get to the retreat and we're crying every day. And I'm like, This is not what I signed up for. Like, what? But I love that. And you keep saying something that keeps reminding me about something that I've learned from a lot of other coaches. Like your business development will not exceed your personal development.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to do business development and not also do the personal development work, the deep work, the mindset work, the work that's below the surface that you don't want to talk about, the grief, the loss, the pain, the hurt, the anxiety, the trauma, the shame, the guilt, all these things that we deal with. And so as I hear you even talk about, how the eating disorder wasn't about food, it had nothing to do with food. It had everything to do with what I perceived as safe and what that looked like for me to make sure that I get there. And so and I want to take this moment for you to give advice to someone who may be struggling with, whether it's an eating disorder, whether it's anxiety, whether it's panic attacks. Like, what advice would you give to a man or a woman right now, just to help them not get out of it, because these things aren't a one and done remedy, but just how to at least become more aware and in tune with understanding it can be managed and you don't have to stay stuck.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love what you shared, and I want to just say this one thing, and then I'll speak to that advice too. This is according to neuroscience. 95 to 98% of our results, it's not based on what we're doing. It's not based on the strategy. It's based on our subconscious beliefs, our programs, our identity. And so, to the point that you were making about what really creates the growth in someone's business, it is being willing to do the inner work. It is being willing to face the money limiting beliefs, to do the inner child, to cry when you need to cry. And so, to that point, for someone who is in that space right now, um, And it's funny because I've been getting asked to speak more about this lately. So I'm just trusting that there's a lot of people who may need that level of support. I think the first thing is to know that it does not have to be your life. And I know for me, it was again a 10-year pattern where it felt I couldn't imagine if someone would have told me there's a different way to live, but I want to just open someone up to the even just the possibility, the inkling, the seed of hope, if this provides it, that you do not have to stay stuck in that pattern if you choose not to. So that's the first thing. Um, I know for me at the time, I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts
Mm.
because it was too painful because I was too aware of how misaligned I was in my marriage at the time, how many things in my life were just not feeling right again, not feeling aligned. But I had to actually sit with my thoughts and listen to what I hadn't been wanting to listen to. And so being brave enough to maybe ask a question like, what is my knowing right now? Like I don't have to do anything about it, but what is it that is, if I get really still and quiet with myself and don't try to numb and don't try to disengage, but if I'm willing to sit through that discomfort, what is it that I'm not wanting to say to myself or someone else, that I'm not wanting to acknowledge, that I've been suppressing, that I'm pushing down? There's something there. There's something there. And I think that's real bravery. And it doesn't have to be something you do on your own either. You can do it with support, whether of a coach, of a therapist, whatever, whoever can hold that space for you. I think that's really important. But there's freedom and liberation that comes from even just vocalizing, I'm struggling with this. I don't want to anymore, right? I'm going to ask for some help here. And then from there, knowing that there is, believe it or not, there is a gift for you in it. There's something that you're being invited to evolve into. There's something that you're being invited to change, and it's all for your good. It's all for everyone's good in your life as well. So I think trusting that is really important, but listening again to that inner voice and that inner knowing, or at least opening up a dialogue by asking, if you haven't done that in a long time, what is, if I did know, what would it be? That will start to provide some guidance. It's not about the anxiety. It's not about the food. It's not about any of it. It's something where your soul is trying to tell you something. You're being guided or steered in a direction, and you have shut it off for whatever reason. Oftentimes, safety, self preservation, survival, but your soul is always for expansion, for fuller expression, for love, for your best and highest good. And so it is in listening that we start to unwrap the gift in that.
Mm. This is
Yeah.
really good. And I want to go back to marriage because you talked about the pain you were feeling and the way your marriage was, but you said something even earlier
Mm.
that I never think about, and maybe others don't think about it. You said your former husband, I think, you said so the marriage itself wasn't in a good place, but you also didn't point blame. And you didn't point blame on the husband at the time because you said he was a match for who you were at the time. So let's just say that is the case, right?
Mm.
Ain't nobody trying to hear that. But I want you to talk more about that because for a lot of us, that is very right. Like you end up marrying someone or you end up choosing to be with someone who is the exact replica of who you are, like you say at the time.
Yes.
So talk more about that.
Mm. Well, I'm happy to. Yeah, it's a lot easier, right, to say, oh, I was a victim or this or that. and to point blame, but there's no growth in that, and there's no personal accountability in that. And so everyone is a mirror in your life, everyone and everything. They're not in your life by accident. Whether your clients, your partner, your friends, you have to be an energetic vibrational match for them at some level in order for you two to even connect. All right. Now, depending on where our energy is, depending on our self concept, our self belief, if you're in a space where you're vibrating high, you've done the worthiness work, you love yourself, you're going to attract people who are on that level. And that's beautiful. And if you are not at that level, which I certainly wasn't then, you're going to attract people who are not on that level and who are going to mirror to you who you're being. And so yes, it was a painful season. And I don't, when I was in it, I wouldn't have had the consciousness to be able to say that, right? It was all about trying to change him. How can I get out of the relationship? Which I'm glad that I did, because it was not, again, it was not not meant to be a lifelong divinely ordained relationship, but lots of great teachings and learnings came from that. And what I can see now with perspective is I was a woman who was deeply insecure, who was seeking love and validation from whoever would give it to her, because I didn't know how to give that to myself. And so, of course, I attracted someone who was also on that same journey in their own life, and who would mirror and magnify those things in me that I was currently struggling with. And so I can look at it now. I really don't even think about that phase of my life that much because it was so long ago. But I can look at it and say, I understand exactly how it came about. I understand exactly how I manifested that. And then with awareness, we can harness the gifts and move on. And I think that relationships, Michael Beckwith talks about this. Some people are in our life for a season, some for a reason, and some for a lifetime. And so there's a lot of relationships in our lives where someone's there for a season, or maybe they're there for a reason to teach us something about ourselves, to help us grow and evolve. And so when we can look to those and say, thank you for how you helped me evolve. And it's never the easy relationships that are our teachers ever. But we can look to those and get the lessons and get the learnings and evolve. We don't have to repeat it again.
And
So,
I know you said you don't think about it because it's been a long time ago, and I didn't mean to kind of
oh, it's all good.
life
I'm an
on it.
open book. Yep.
However, I thought it was so important for those who may be in a similar position, if you will, where they had a relationship before or married before and didn't work out, and you take the blame off yourself.
Mm.
Don't victimize yourself. You truly married someone who was a perfect match to who you were at the time.
Yeah.
And you get to say, well, I'm certainly not that person now, but who I was then attracted that person or connected me to that person. And now, if I were to do it again, the person I am now, with the growth and the lessons and the wisdom and the transformation, if I choose another person to be with, then it'll be a whole new person that'll be kind of a better fit for who I am now. If you know what, if you will. And so I'm not asking Elyse that question to get into a business, but I'm asking it so that you can understand a little more about the relationship with yourself, and then also how it works when it comes to other people. And we're talking husband wife, but also when it comes to your coaches, your mentors, your friends, your acquaintances, your associates, your affiliates. Like, they're all mirrors of who you are now, which is why I will say it again, personal development is key. Because if you want your business to grow, then you need to make sure personally your energy is on point, your values are on point, your morals are on point, you know what you want. Because that's gonna help decide who you allow to be a part of your business circle, who you allow to be a part of your coaching and training circle. So this was for you. This was for you, the man, the woman that's listening to us. And then we're so grateful for Elyse for sharing her story. So Elyse, we have a few more minutes left, and I would be remiss if I don't allow my audience to kind of have a sneak peek into what it is you do best, and that's when it comes to selling and money. And I know that money is a major thing, but before we start talking about money and the mindset of money, I do want to talk about motherhood and wifehood, and how you've been able to manage and align all of that and still be this mogul of a superwoman.
We're having this conversation and I've been leading the company all day and then I'm going to go pick up my kids at school. So I get it. And for those of us who are female, a lot of times we've grown up and been taught that you have to make a lot of sacrifices in order to have it. And you've got to choose the career or the kids, the career or the family. And that never felt right for me. I'm always a woman who's wanted to have it all and who's like, I'm going to figure out how I can have it all. So I think one of the things that's really important is that we learn to make our own rules around money, around time, around how things work for us. If you have a belief system that the only way to make more money is to work harder and longer hours in your business, that will keep you stuck. And it is not the case. I run a 7-figure plus coaching business, raising little kids, working part-time hours. Now, am I laser focused when I'm here and when I'm working? Yeah. But it's not a grind. And I have plenty of time for self-care, we just, moved into our dream home. We're setting up the house. Like I have time with my kids that I spend in the afternoon and the evenings. So that's part of why the personal development work and the embodiment work and the money frequency and consciousness work is so important, because each of us has a financial set point and a financial thermostat that will regulate and control how much it is that we make every month, every day, every year. So if you want to bring in more into your business or into your life, the first step is not to say, how do I do it? It's to really connect to, well, what is it that you would love to experience? Why? So I'm going to kind of weave in a money answer here with the momming and wifing, if that's okay. Why? Remembering that money itself is not the vision. Money is the how of your vision. So what is the amount that is required for you to live out your vision? That's going to be different for each of us. But I mean, I believe money circulates in unlimited ways. I believe that you can tap into unlimited universal abundance and source. And I've done that. And I love money and wealth energetics and all of that work. That's my jam. I think it's so fun. But we want to be clear that money is meant to fuel your life, not be your life, be the end vision in and of itself. But then from that place, the work begins with rewiring and thinking about, for whatever amount it is that I desire to make. Maybe for someone, it's their first 10K months, maybe it's 50K months, maybe it's 100K months, maybe it's $1 million months. Well, that has a frequency to it. That has a vibration. There's a level of thought that you're thinking at that level. There's a feeling, and there's an amount of energy that you're allowing to move to and through you at that level. Now, there's nothing in there that says you cannot do that and simultaneously be raising amazing small humans or be a partner to your spouse. And me doing that, to me, it's literally just a matter of getting clear on what it is that you want. And again, I'm a woman who wants. So again, it ties back with what we said before of your results will never supersede your identity. So you got to get clear on what it is that you want. Mm-hmm. And you want a business that makes X amount and you want to work X number of hours. Okay, look at who do you need to be in order for that to happen. You're going to need to probably think at a different level, feel at a different level, operate at a different level. But Hustle, grind, burnout are immediate signs of misalignment. They're signs that you're in masculine energy, and you'll never quantum leap from pure masculine energy. You'll only quantum leap from the feminine. And so there's a method we teach, I think I mentioned this earlier, called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth, that teaches how to do that. And I've got a free training I'm happy to share with your listeners, but it'll teach you how to do that. But I say all of that to say, we, especially as women, have to make our own rules. And I remember the first time one of my mentors told me she ran a $3.5 million business working 3 hours a day. And I was running a 6-figure business working 10 hours a day. And I realized it wasn't what I was doing or what she was doing. It was the consciousness. It was the level of thinking. So we got to be in the energy of others who are also making their own rules and who have different levels of money consciousness and frequency, to learn how to tap into how they think and how they operate, so that we can have the abundant business or life that we desire, while also being there with our kids and being present for what we care to be present for as well. So hopefully
It all
kind
starts
of
here.
spoke to all the things.
It all starts here. And you said, I love how you are making it now our responsibility. So it's no longer, the excuse is no longer, I can't have it. If the excuse is no longer, well, you have the resources and I don't. No. You said to be, however, at that level where you want to have it all, especially if you want it all at the same time, then there's a certain level of thinking, a certain level of operating, and a certain level of acting that needs to be present. And if you're not willing to elevate your thinking and the way you operate and act, then of course you're going to be in that, I wish I could phase for a long period of time. And I remember when because I was just business before marriage and before children. And then I got married. So now I was wife and businesswoman. And then children was coming. My first daughter came, and there was this this external noise and awareness from my husband straight down that, when once this child come, then you won't be able to travel like you used to, and once this child come, then you won't be able to do what you do. And it was almost the people telling me what I wasn't going to be able to do once I become a mother. And I like how you said it, and I'll say it right after you, Elyse. That wasn't aligned for me. Like, I knew what my purpose, and then I knew, but I knew what my purpose was, and I knew what my purpose would take me, where it would take me in a front of home, which required me traveling, kind of moving, being on the move, and that sort of thing. And so I told myself that when I have this daughter, I was going to show the world how it's done to have what you want. And did it take a certain level of thinking and sacrifice on my own part? Absolutely. There's a certain way now that I had to operate. Now that I had a child, had a husband, still have a house to maintain, and also a business that I also wanted to grow. And I was still moving. And I thank God, of course, for the resources. I thank Him for the ability to now change the way I think. And I was able to do it all. And still not be burnt out, if you will. Now, are the sacrifices still there? They are. Not that I sacrificed my child and my husband, but that there maybe I sacrificed extra hour of sleep here and there. But I still knew that I wasn't going to be that person who was in the either or category. I was going to have the all and, or the both and,
Yes.
Doesn't work for everyone, because nobody wants to elevate the way they think and doesn't want to elevate the way they operate. But Elyse is telling you, it can happen. It can happen. You can. However, you have to be in a position to even want. This is the way you have to think if that's what you want. But you have to even know what you want. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your identity is, to make sure that whatever it is you're trying to reach to, the capacity is there.
Yes. So, oh my gosh, preach. I'm so with you.
the
I'm
best.
so with you. Yes,
You're the
everything you're
best.
saying.
Oh, and our time is gone. This is just so sad. So please, I know you have some things coming up
Hmm.
that I would love my women and men, if possible, but women to be a part of. So
Yes.
please let us know about the event that you have coming up.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is so fun. So yes, in July of this year, we are hosting. It's called Superhuman Selling, and it is open to both men and women. And so it's going to be a 2 day live event here in Portland, Maine. And then there's a third day that's a VIP add on the end. It's a smaller group. And it is for those who I would say resonated with this conversation and who want to quantum leap their sales, their income, and their life. And so it's a beautiful event. It's a powerful event. And it will be linked on my website, ElyseArcher.com, for those who are interested. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share that and just let us know that you came in from Teresa as well.
Absolutely.
Come check
Where
out
can
the
they
event.
find you? On social
Yes.
media? How can they
Yeah,
connect?
absolutely. ElyseArcher.com is where I am everywhere. Social media, my website. And we do have, if it's okay to share, the free training link if someone wants to go deeper into the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth. We've got a really beautiful, powerful free training that will teach you how I did go from stuck and struggling at the same level for 10 years to turning my annual income into my monthly income. And that's ElyseArcher.com/4 quadrants. You'll get a much more powerful deep dive into all of that. And it'll help you connect with your vision in a deeper way. It'll teach you the mindset, the energetics, the wealth frequencies, the consciousness, and some of the strategy that's involved too. So again, ElyseArcher.com/4 quadrants. And again, let us know there's a space in there where you can say that you were referred in by Teresa and her show as well. So but yes, this was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love this
No, thank
conversation.
you, Elise. Thank you so very much, guys. Make sure you connect with her. Make sure you follow. You can be a part of the event in Maine. Is it also virtual or is it just in person?
It's in person. Yeah,
Oh,
we may have a virtual option, but I don't want to promise that. So for now, assume that it's assume it's
absolutely.
in person. Yeah.
Make sure you glean from this young lady who I
Mm.
am still gleaning from. And I so appreciate her for being there, for being here. Elise, can we end on the greatest advice that you would give to anyone right now?
Yes, absolutely. I said it before and I'll say it again. It is to trust yourself, trust your desire for more, trust your calling. Even just being here, being curious and open to maybe you don't feel clear on your purpose, but you're here because you want to find out what it is and you're ready, you're in the inquiry. There's something great wanting to unfold in your life. So trusting that, knowing that it'll be a nonlinear path and that's okay. But um, it's just like driving at night. You just need to see a little bit in front of you along the way and then move in the direction of where you're feeling guided and called to go. So that would be what I would say.
Thank you much. Thank you very much. Don't forget your desires are green lights. I love it. So Elise, we always end on a lovely, fun high note. I am a lover, a connoisseur of amazing food.
Hmm.
So please let us know what is your favorite food, favorite dish, and favorite restaurant.
Well, and you're asking a pregnant woman, so this could be.
To be suspect.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have one favorite, but I will say I'm cooking a ton right now. Um, what is my okay? So here in Maine, there is a hole in the wall restaurant called the Olive Cafe. I got to give a shout out to the owner. You wouldn't necessarily think much walking by, but I mean it's cute, but it's it's a hole in the wall. But the owner there, he came over. I forget which country, but absolutely lovely, amazing man. He has run the restaurant for I believe anywhere from 10 to 17 years and has like the best Mediterranean
I
food.
was
I'm a
going to
big
say, is it
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean?
It's
Okay.
Mediterranean, so maybe
Okay.
that I can at least say favorite cuisine
It's
is
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean.
I
So if
love
anyone is ever visiting Portland, Maine. Go check out Olive Cafe because
Nice,
you will not be
nice.
disappointed. It's
Nothing
wonderful.
like a really good hummus.
That's it. Oh my gosh, the best. Yeah, it's the
Yes.
best. It's so good.
Oh, Elyse, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope
Mm.
you've learned a lot. I hope you've been inspired just to make one change in your life by applying one thing that she said today.
Mm.
Welcome again to another great episode. Until next time, we will see you soon. Bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Finder podcast. I hope today's conversation lit a fire within you because purpose isn't just something you chase. It is something you live every single day. If this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people on their journey to purpose. Let's continue the journey together. Join the Purpose Finder community on Facebook for exclusive insights, tools, and a tribe of purpose-driven people just like you. And remember, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Your purpose isn't far off. It's already within you. It's time for you to uncover it and live it boldly. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep walking in your purpose.